I wanted to give you a little update or an explanation of the assignment that I created for this week. It took me a little longer to get this video prepped and ready than I would hope, but this week in class, we talked about fluency. We talked about fluency assessment, fluency intervention, multiple things in class. So I want you to work a little bit on that fluency component in reading language arts. So the assignment we're doing is I'm having you do is called a fluency observation assessment. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this. It's got multiple parts and it's a little bit complicated. I think I don't know if it's necessarily complicated to do, but there's a lot of pieces of it. Okay? And so the explanation of all the reasoning behind it, the outcomes, what you're going to work on here is all in the first couple parts, and then the assignment directions here give you 4 different parts of that. And so we're working on a fluency assessment. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is observe a child, and you can observe your own child, somebody in a classroom if you're there, or you can do a recorded sample. This recorded sample is right here. So now this recorded sample is not a child, but it is an adult reading through that. They do make mistakes and stuff in that. So they're reading this Little Red Hen script. And so when we do a fluency assessment, you remember that we have a copy of the script. The students are reading the script, and we're checking and marking for mistakes. And so this first part here, observe a child or their recorded sample reading a script for 1 minute. Record the miscues and errors, calculate the accuracy here. So total words read plus divided by the total words read correctly divided by the total words read times 100%. Okay. What expressive features we talked about, prosody, we talked about phrasing, annotation, etc., pace, and then use a fluency observation sheet, which is provided to document findings. Okay, so this is the big part of that, right? So if you are watching this recording, okay, on the Little Red Hen, you can click on this video, right, which I'm going to do now, and it will pull up, and you'll have a goofy lady here at the beginning. And she may or may not have her cats come in here. Yes, I think. Anyway, as after a couple minutes here, you will get to the point where she will read this Little Red Hen script. Okay, for you. Okay, so once you get to the part, you can fast forward. You don't have to watch her right away, but you can. But you just get to the part where she reads through the script, and then you can use the attached script, Little Red Hen script here with the document. Okay, so you click on that, it's going to pull up your Little Red Hen script. Again, you can print this out, or you can save it and mark it up as an electronic document. That's totally up to you on that, but the script is right here for that. Okay, so that's the first part of it, right? Observe somebody and record them looking at these miscues and errors. So how do you do that? We talked about it a little bit in terms of calculating the fluency piece. If you're not quite sure or don't remember how to do it, right here, how to perform the assessment. Okay, you click on that, it's going to pull up an example or actually walk you through the process of performing a fluency assessment. Okay, now some of this stuff you may not know or not necessarily have to do, etc. on that, but prep the materials, introduce the tasks. So if you're working with a student, tell them that the passage, giving them the passage they're going to read, right? Talking about that, okay? Starting the timer, okay? So marking errors on your script sheet, okay? So substitution of words, leaving words out, adding extra words, repeating words, correcting a mistake, okay? Hesitations where they pause for more than 3 to 5 seconds on a word, okay? Now this isn't, you don't have to be exact, right? This is just practice component on that, okay? But you start the timer, mark the errors, and then you tell them to stop, okay? and where they're at. Then you score that. Right? So total words read, what the errors were, words correct per minute. Okay, so again, subtract the number of errors from the total words read. Okay, so if they read 95 words, they made 5 errors. Words correct per minute is 9. That's not right. 90. That should be not 95 or not 9. So And then you can do the accuracy piece, right? And then these are the other things that we talked about, the prosody component, what does that sound like? Is the intonation correct? Is the pausing correct at periods, et cetera, those types of things. Okay, so this is a step-by-step explanation of how to conduct that, okay? So you do the observation, okay? The fluency observation sheet is also here as well, right? So you can use, this is a template. You don't have to use this exact same thing, right? But as you're, this is not the right one. I attached the wrong one. Sorry. So there's a fluency observation right here. Fluency observation sheet template. Wrong one. Right. So here you can, you don't have to completely fill it out, right? But this is a sheet that you would potentially or could potentially use when you're working with a child and looking at their fluency, okay? So rating their accuracy, their rate, their prosody, their phrasing, their pace, okay? Because you don't see all this on a fluency result, okay? You may note it or you may talk about it, right? So, but this is an opportunity to mark down what you observe while they're working on that fluency assessment, okay? So then here you can also give some notes that you observed, right? Any instructional feedback, things that you would do next in terms of like helping the student in terms of instruction or their practice. And also there's some reflection components. You don't necessarily have to complete this piece, but just something to think about or that you might see as you do fluency assessments when you get into the classroom. Okay. And so what do you do if you're observing a child in real time, whether your own kids, a friend's kid, somebody at school? Here it is ORFOPM document. There are a ton of reading scripts here. Okay, so grades 1 through 5, you can see here there's quite a few pages, 11 pages, I think, maybe. No, 143 pages, so quite a bit. The first couple of pages here are just example, right? How you go about doing this. And so here, G1, grade 1, right? So if you have a child about grade 1, here you go. You can use this script if you want to print it out. Again, you can use it electronically, like if you want to pull it up on a computer for the child and just zoom in on it. You can do that so that they can read that. And then you have that same script as well. So it goes all the way up through grade 5. Now, what happens if you are you have a high schooler or something that you want to do? I don't care if you use the grade 5 component on them. If they get 100% on it, that's fine. You can, it's just practice, right? So it doesn't have to be exactly what the grade level shows there for that. So these are here for you if you're going to do it on a real life person, right? So once you get done with the analysis or the observation part, then we want you to analyze what you saw, right? So approximately a page, right? What's the accuracy rate, word count per minute? Any qualitative observations, meaning what did you see? Talking about the like the prosody, right? Their intonation, their speech, their pausing, all those components. So really doing that observational piece as well as the data and the accuracy component in that fluency piece there. Okay, so you do the analysis. Okay? Then what can we do in terms of if you see something for a student that maybe they're struggling in, and again, making this up, maybe it is certain words that they're struggling with, or certain blends or sounds that they're struggling with. Okay, I know, and I don't expect you to have a perfect idea of like, oh, I have to create this great lesson, and here it is. I want you to just come up with some ideas, right? So what grade level is this student at? What objectives might you put together? What are some strategies, materials you might need? Here, this website, readinguniverse.org, has a ton of resources in regards to fluency. Okay? So if you go down here to fluency, the fluency content, okay, skill, what is the student struggling with? Okay, so right here, R controlled vowels, magic E, morphology, the phonics pattern, multisyllabic words. So you can click on those, it'll filter it out. Oh, I need this one right here, multisyllabic words. It's a free printable resource, a picnic with pals. It says subscribe, you don't have to. And you can click on downloading that. It'll show up, it'll give you some ideas. Right here are actually some scripts that you can use with. This is the wrong one, sorry. So this is actually the a script to read, but within here you can find some lesson components in here as well. So this would be something where you want them to practice, right? This multisyllabic word, right, that ends with the Y, right? So helping them to go through this process. So even though this is a script, right, you could still use this as a lesson, right? That I'm going to have the student practice on these multisyllabic words, two-syllable words with a Y that has the long E sound. Maybe they're struggling with it, right? So you're going to work with them, right, on this. Study, okay, is an example of some of these warm-up words, right? Study, lucky, chilly, sunset, and different things like that, and helping them work through that process, right? So part of fluency instruction is not that it's necessarily like a super complicated lesson, but part of it is that you're helping them understand what part they're struggling with in the reading and getting them to practice that, okay, which goes back to that component here of practicing those Ys and multisyllabic words. Okay? So if you're struggling with an idea to come up with a plan, click on that right there, work through that process, reach out and ask me. I can help you with that in terms of ideas and the understanding piece of that. And then lastly, write a little reflection. Okay, so the differences between observing fluency and actually reading or talking about it. Okay, integration of assessments, personal growth areas, or any other things that you might have seen while you were doing this practice fluency assessment. Okay, so 4 parts to this component. Here's the assessment rubric that I will use. Okay, and when you complete this, okay, you can just submit a document to put them together. It doesn't have to be necessarily this, but fluency observation and instructional design. So include your observation sheet, okay, which is this piece right here, your analysis, your little instruction plan, and your reflection. Okay, so those are the components all into one Word document. So just put them all together in one and upload that. Okay. That's kind of a lot. I hope it makes sense. If you have questions, definitely reach out and let me know. So it's not due until November 24th, right? I gave you a couple weeks, 20 days almost to work on that because I just kind of introduced it this week, even though the chapters were previously, but I just introduced it this week and I just got it live for you today. So please reach out with questions and otherwise we'll see you next week.